There are so many tools out there for authors to use, ranging from brainstorming and writing programs to editing and formatting software. It would be almost impossible for us to cover them in a day and go in depth on anything. And I don't know about y'all, but I don't even have the time or the patience to sit here for a whole day going through all of these programs. But I do want to cover some of my favorites and the ones that I routinely use time and time again. I will not be covering ChatGPT and Sudowrite in this video. You've seen the videos of me using it. You know I like it. I want to showcase other programs. And to kick things off, we are going to start with the three that I purchased back in 2019 when I started writing, and I still use them to this day. And this first one is one that I always recommend to people, not necessarily because of the tool itself, while it is an amazing tool and I love it. I actually recommend it for the customer service because they have hands down the best customer service I have ever seen in a company. I always joke that they're the Chick-fil-A of the online industry. So let's check out Plottr. Plottr is really awesome for the people who are like me and like the visual of things. There are plenty out there who just want the basics. They want the plain formats and everything. I find those just don't click well with my brain for whatever reason. I love how visual Plottr is. And my favorite thing to use Plottr for is what you can see right here, and that is in planning out my series. I just use their basic template of the line. I don't get anything fancy and do anything with the other templates yet. I use their basic template, put all of my books here, however many books I think I'm going to need, and then I will start putting the plot points on each of these lines. Each of these will be a plot point I see happening for that book. And then this gives me sort of an aerial view of things. Now I can go back and see, okay, is there one book that's lacking in a lot of action? Are there two books that maybe contradict each other or some plot holes that I can see? And that is really where it helps me the most, is to spot those plot holes. I had this one series where the books rotated between past and present, and I was actually just confusing myself in trying to outline it. This helped me put things in order. Again, this is just a basic series overview. We'll go to the dashboard here, and you can create from template or your blank project. I always use create from template, and I'm going to show you what they offer here. These are templates that I've saved to reuse. You can see here, they have a whole list of the different templates that you can use, the different kind of beat sheets and everything. If you have a favorite, chances are it is here. Let's go to Everybody Likes Romancing the Beat. Let's check it out. So now we have our template and can start doing our plot points for that. And of course, this works for whatever template you select. For instance, let's go to one I was playing with the other day. With this one, I was actually just doing a lot of templates and playing around to see which one fit my story the best, which one was easier for me to work with on it. We have the 3-act structure right here, the hero's journey one, and you can see how it goes. And then I was playing around with the others. And for anybody interested, this screenplay method one is the one that I found actually worked the best for me. I was very easily able to put in all of my plot points that I wanted without confusing myself. I am not a plotter, y'all. Doing the whole plot points, that part is boring to me and will make me drop a story faster than a hot potato. You can see here all of the little options. Again, that dashboard is full of templates, and you can use it for other things. I actually have my priorities and writing schedules and things like that in here, again, because I like the visuals so much. And it's fun to play around with moving the little boxes. You can see here just my little writing schedule. Tells me when throughout the year I need to focus on outlining and everything, doing my edits for each book, when they need to go to the beta readers, and then towards the end of the year, it starts tapering off to where I can relax the last few months of the year before January kicks everything off again. I'll show you one more, and we are going to move on. Another thing I like to do is my priorities. If I have a lot of books that I'm working on at once, I can use this just to kind of help me pinpoint, okay, which ones do I need to focus on first? So that's really helpful. Now with plottr, you could do all of your world building here as well. So you can have places for your characters if you need to put all your descriptions, your character tags, whatever you need for each scene, you can do that. So you can have all of your characters for the entire series, then you can break them down per book and then per scene right here. And the same for your settings. Now, plottr has not given a timeline as far as I know yet. I haven't seen it in their announcements, and they're really good about always notifying you. You click on this bell icon, and they'll let you know what's recently happened, what changes they've recently made, along with always some demo videos. You can see here they just added some short story templates. But one of the other things they demoed for us back, I think around, I want to say around July or August, was that they are going to incorporate AI here into their characters. Now, this isn't going to be AI like you think of Sudowrite or ChatGPT, creating this in-depth thing. Instead, it's just going to be an assistant tool. So it'll help pull, okay, these characters are here in this scene. Or if you need an idea to add a character, I believe it will be able to help you do that as well. It isn't going to be something extensive for those who don't like AI, but I think it will be a very helpful tool. That is plottr. Again, their customer service is just absolutely amazing. So I highly recommend checking them out. I have a link in the description for you and play around with it and see how you like it. I do believe they offer a 14-day free trial, could be 7, but they do offer a free trial. And there is the option of a lifetime membership or a monthly fee. And they did do a really good Black Friday sale recently. So if you can't afford it right now, be on the lookout for it with the next Black Friday. They did, I believe, 35% off of their lifetime and the monthly, so you could choose. All right, the next one you may be very familiar with. It still surprises me that some people don't know about Scrivener, but we are going to dive into that. Now, Scrivener is a huge learning curve, y'all. I cannot stress that enough, that it is very overwhelming when you open it up and see their default template. I tried to go through the tutorial. It was just too much for me, and I actually put it aside for a bit, played with some other programs, and I still came back to Scrivener. And then after researching blogs and people that helped with teaching it in their little videos, I realized I didn't have to stick with that default template that Scrivener gave me, which was overwhelming to me. Instead, I could make my own template. So what I did was deleted everything within that default Scrivener template and made my own and added in all of the things that I wanted to see. This my preferred outline method right here is my default template. I'm just going to click to create a new one, name it, and you see here, it just pops up with things that I have added. So it's not that normal default Scrivener look to it. This is the corkboard view. And then you have different settings up here to play with. So the things that I like to have, a spot for my blurb as I'm brainstorming titles, and then my story overview. This is typically where I start and I write down my ideas. As I'm thinking of more plot points and all of that, I will put it here. This is generally my first step, not counting brainstorming with ChatGPT. When I have a story idea, it goes here, and then I add to it as I think of new plot points to add. This 30-day process was something I used to do before AI, so I do actually need to change it up and modify it for while I'm working with AI, but essentially it was walking through creating a book in a month. And then I have, as you can see, these other templates, 12 plot points, the story engine's blueprint method. I actually absolutely love this method of outlining my stories and layering it in with whatever other beat sheet I want. So if I want to do Save the Cat, Romancing the Beat, Hero's Journey, whatever else, I still typically start with the story engine's blueprint method. It includes like the preparation phase, the reactive phase, the proactive phase. and the game-changing moment. What this does is really help me to see if I have all of the essential plot points that I need before I work on strengthening my story with those other methods. I keep these here, all of these different versions, so that way, whenever I bring in my story or start my story here, I don't have to decide right away, okay, which method am I going to use? Instead, I can just get my story written, and then when I'm actually ready to start with the scenes and writing those scenes out or importing prose from Pseudowrite, I can just use whatever method I decide then at that time to use. If you find yourself getting overwhelmed with Scrivener, delete everything and make your own little template. And you could search online for various templates, the romancing the beat templates or whatever other structures that you like. Bring those into Scrivener or start from scratch and just create your own. Have that blank slate and say, okay, what do I actually need to start working on this story? I did like to keep the character template sheets that they have. I also have my own. It's not in this file because this is my laptop. I have those elsewhere. You can see the story map that I like to use. And again, I got these offline, so you can get those character arcs, the villains. So these are all things I know I want to have available to me. Do I use them for every single story? Absolutely not. But they're here if I need them, and then they're out of the way if I don't want to use them. Think about what do you absolutely need to work with in Scrivener and create your own template, and I think you'll like it a lot better. My favorite thing to use Scrivener for is actually the editing phase. As I'm writing inside Pseudowrite, I copy all of my prose into little sections in whichever template here that I want to have. So I'll start breaking them down, copying in my prose. And then when I'm editing Scrivener, I can do a side-by-side and start kit bashing the different models or whatever I need, but I can also highlight all of my prose here in Scrivener. So it's just a very easy way to edit. And that's why I love Scrivener so much. And Scrivener, of course, exports into Vellum pretty easily for me. All right, so the next program that I really like to use for all of my stories is Autocrit. Now, I like Autocrit because of its looks and just the very intuitive nature of it for me. I've tried Grammarly, I've tried ProWriting Aid. Again, that visual aspect just wasn't there for me, so I found myself not wanting to use the tool. Now, can they all do the same thing? Pretty much, yes. Each has its quirks and pros and cons. So play around with those. They all offer the free trials. Play around with one, see what you like best. But Autocrit was it for me. It was the one that I liked. What I like most about Autocrit is the analysis. I can run my summary report and see what it comes up with. Now, again, when it comes into Autocrit, when my story comes into this point right here, it's already gone through a couple of rounds of edits. Autocrit is my last stop before my final read. So I've done all my initial edit stages, and I'm bringing it in here to see what is wrong with it. And this is always the first stopping point for me. I like all of these to be at least 90%. Typically, for my romance, I will hit that mark because, see, these are much lower, so lots of work needed on doing this horror story right here. This strong writing, this is always my weak point. It's normally around 75 to 70% for me. I know I always will need to work extra hard on this particular aspect. But again, there's all kinds of things you can scroll down and look at. But since I know strong writing is my weakness, I can just go over here and then start looking at it, each of these little things right here, and seeing what I need to correct. So it's telling me all of these that I need to remove, so I can click them. It'll show me where they are. I can read through and decide if I want to take it out or not. I know a lot of people have been showing the story analyzer recently. And actually, let me go to a different story where I've already done the analyzing. We have the story analyzer right here. Now, this is neat. It's a nice little breakdown. Honestly, this is not something I'm going to use. After playing around with it for a couple of stories, I just did not find it that useful. Again, it's neat. It's nice to see this breakdown, but it's nothing that I can take and make some big changes with or improve my story really in any kind of way. But there is that. Now, what I do like is the other tool that they came out with before the Story Analyzer. So they came out with Story Analyzer and Inspiration Studio, both within the past year. Inspiration Studio is something that I like. You can come over here, and this is the sentence I had my cursor after right here, and then it'll give me some ideas of what could happen next in the story. I can also change the mood. If I decided I wanted to change this up, be more foreboding, or if I wanted to start changing up the tone, the friend is trying to cheer up their other friend, I can start leaning towards that. So Inspiration Studio is actually something that I prefer more than the story analysis. This is something I've started to incorporate inside my editing. But again, I mainly use Autocrit for that summary report with that breakdown and to help me with where I know my weak points are. So that is my top 3, the 3 that I started with back in 2019 and still use to this day. And now I am going to show you some other ones that I now use. I mentioned Vellum a while ago. Vellum is where I like to do my formatting. Now, Vellum is only available for Mac. There is another program called Atticus. I know back when it first came out, it was really buggy. A lot of people complained about that, but I believe Dave Chesson does that program, and he's really good about being on top of things. I believe it's much smoother now. If you don't have a Mac, check out Atticus. But here in Vellum, I will export my stuff from Scrivener. All of my chapters will show up here, and then I can go through this. Let's go to one over here. So I can go through this and start looking at all of my formatting, make sure I have everything looking the way I want the reader to see it whenever they're looking at my ebook. With Vellum, I can choose from this list over here, how I want the chapter headings and everything to look. Just scroll down so you can see. And whenever you have one that you like, you can click in here and then also make some other changes. So I can scroll through, decide how I want that heading to look. There's backgrounds, so if you want some backgrounds, and then you can decide how you want your first paragraph to look. It'll change up that first sentence or that first line. Let me get back to my normal one. Paragraph after the break, and then your headers and footers. So you can decide how you want it to look here as well. That should be your first step, deciding how you want that stuff formatted. And then again, go through here, decide what needs to be bold, decide what needs to be a subheader, or maybe you need to add a different chapter, things like that. This is a great way to see how your readers will see this. And then the thing I love most about Vellum is that I can click this generate button. And then once it generates, I will click it just so you can see. So it's generating all of these options for me right here. Whenever I go to upload to Apple Books, I don't need to worry about, okay, what kind of formatting do I need for Apple Books? Vellum already did it for me. What formatting do I need for Google Play or Kindle? Vellum already did all of that for me. And then plus I have my print version right here. So Vellum makes it really easy for me to just format everything all in one shot, and I don't have to worry about different formats for different platforms. And if I update it, Vellum doesn't create a second file of all of these for me. Now, in this AI for Authors book that I was working on, I no longer have duplicates of these. Instead, it updates those original files. So I don't have to worry about, okay, was this the original? Was this the second update? Is it this version? I don't have to worry about anything like that. All of these are the most current version. So every time I click that generate, it updates all of the files to the most current version. And it just makes it super simple to upload everything. All right, one of my other favorite tools is from Literature and Latte, the makers of Scrivener. So this is Scapel, and it's a very simple mind mapping tool. Now you can find other mind mapping tools that get very superfluous and have all of these nice features and make everything look really pretty. I like the simplicity of this, which is weird since I said I was a visual person, but this is what works for me. So the reason I like Scapel and what I use it for is for connecting my characters in all of my series. I write a lot of dark romance, dark mafia romance. So I don't want to use any real life towns for all the events that happen in my stories. Instead, I have a made up town. And all of my series, whether it's the dark mafia romance or the regular romance, they all happen in this town. I have my town description here. I have popular places within each series or book written out. So that way, if I ever reference it again, I have that description here. That's what all of these screen boxes are. Things that I need to stay consistent whenever they're mentioned. And then you can see I have my characters here. For instance, Kennedy is in one of my dark mafia romance. I've connected it to her lawyer right here, who has his own story that is not dark mafia romance. It is just a regular romance. But I still want the reader to be introduced to him and recall the interaction he had with Kennedy in her story and have that little cameo type feel to it. I love those in books when other authors do it. I want to bring that to my readers as well. So that's what all of these are essentially, is how is each character and book connected? Again, I'm keeping all those details that I need as well so that I don't get a description wrong or an event wrong. So that is Scapel. This is, I believe, $20 one-time fee. I love it. A tool that you've frequently seen me use in my videos is Notion. And Notion is my go-to for organizing my story information before I ever take it into Pseudowrite. So as I'm working with ChatGPT or something, I store information here in Notion. I have a book tracker, and I keep track of where my books are, what stages they're in right here with the little cards. But I also have my story information here. As I go through, I will have my whole series outline, everything that happens, the overall arc, the breakdown of each book. And then I can store my character information here as well. So what's going to happen to the characters in each book. And I'll have each character's descriptions and their arcs for each individual book right here. This is very helpful for me, again, for storing all of my information. Now I've had the time to sit here, organize everything, and I know whenever I take it into Pseudowrite, everything is good to go. So that as I'm in Pseudowrite itself and I decide, okay, now it's time for so-and-so's character description to change, I can come over here, whichever book I'm in, and I can see, okay, how do I need to change up their character arc? Notion is great for storing everything. It's a great task tracker. You can do so much here. I like to do my 12-week year goals here. This will break down everything that I need to do for the year and just a lot of storage for all the classes I teach and things like that. So you can see my list really needs to be cleaned up. But again, a great place and my preference for storing information. Another editing app that I really like, and one that I was deciding between this or Autocrit, is the Hemingway editor app. This one is very simplistic as well, but it packs a punch. You can see the different highlights over here, and it tells you what each one means. There is a free trial. I signed up for it again to show y'all this. I do not believe it is very expensive. Let's check it out and see. $100 annually, monthly, $10 a month. Now, they did incorporate some AI, and the downside is that they limit you on sentences used. So you can see here in this free trial, I have 200 sentences that I can use for working with the AI. In the others, it's 5,000 sentences. But this is great for readability. If that is your main focus, especially like let's just say you're doing middle grade or children's books, in my opinion, the Hemingway app is the way to go for that readability because it'll give you that breakdown right here. And you can just have some more stats like this. This is one that is definitely worth checking out if you want simplicity. You know, you just need help with certain things, such as making things easier to read. That is really where this app shines for the Hemingway. All right, now I am going to get into some generators for y'all. And I'm going to have a document linked in the description with all of these included in that document so y'all can reference them and access those direct links at any time and see if you like any of these tools. This is Seventh Sanctum. This one actually just recently discovered while I was updating my AI for Authors book, but it has some really good generators here. Let's go Darkness and Evil. You'll see all the little options. Let's go with vampires. Why not? And gives you some nice descriptions right here. This has a ton of generators, and they link you to even more. Check these out. Let's see. Skills, abilities, and traits. And you can go into the academy settings, anime. You got your classes and professions right here. So really good for mage. I love the detailed breakdown of these, whereas other generators are more generalized. Seventh Sanctum really breaks things down for you. Another one of my favorite generators is SciFi Ideas. Again, this one goes on and on. If you need a name for something, chances are you can find it here. Let's scroll all the way down and come back up and see what they got. Sexy guide to structuring your story. Traveling through time and not space. Random story idea generator. Sci-fi character names. Last name generator. Planet names. Robots. Species race generators. Alien species names. How to create an alien species. I love how in-depth they go for the different steps it takes to actually create things and make them very three-dimensional. Star system names. So many options right here. And let's check out planet description generator. It gives you some nice information right here. Almost instantaneous world building. This would be a great way to generate all the things you need, take it into your organizer like Notion or wherever you like, Scrivener, and then start playing with it, adding in your own touches and everything. Fantasy name generators is another popular one. This one, again, pretty much anything you think of, there's a name generator for it. So vampire names, unicorn names, anime characters, hellhounds, dragon names. And we have real names we can go by, places and locations. Again, planet names here. So you could compare the planet names from fantasy name generators versus SciFi Ideas and see which one you like better. But so many things here. Pokemon descriptions. Let's see. This generator will generate a randomized description of a Pokemon. Okay. Rock type Pokemon. And it looks like an opossum. Fighting type Pokemon. So there you go. If you're doing some Pokemon stuff, mottos, prayers, riddles. How many times do you have a thriller or a mystery or something where you need to have something like a riddle? Coat of arms. All kinds of neat little things. Check out fantasy name generators too. Writing exercises. This one has some good generators for first lines and for plots. Filling in the murderous mood. Method of killing. Victim appears to have been suffocated. Okay. Killer had an accomplice. And a tip on the campsite. This is pretty neat, so you can decide which of the things that you want to have right here. Let's look at the first line prompts. These were pretty good whenever I was trying them out. And this is generally what I go to this one for. Generate a first line. And I will just go through here. Now, these aren't anything extremely catchy. They aren't the big hook first lines. But it can give you some good ideas to get that first chapter started and get it down on paper, computer, whatever you want. Just kind of go through this and see what catches your eye or sparks some inspiration. The last one that I want to show you for generators is Rezy. If you go to Rezy and you scroll over here to tools, you'll see they have a book title generator and character name generator, some pen names, plots, short story ideas, things like that. So check those out. I like its book title generator. It came up with some good fantasy ones for me before. Let's just say I'm just starting to write and I want that title to help inspire me. So Empire's Duel. Let's try another one. Angel's Grave. I actually really like these. Let's check out romance. great about that one. That one's not bad. I have to say the fantasy ones were much better. Now this one's pretty good for a BDSM romance. Let's go for mystery. I will say I think it shines the best for fantasy. These mystery ones aren't too bad, and I know I talked about Scrivener and Notion for organization and writing tools. Rezy is also good for that. Rezy really is a sort of a one-stop shop. So you can do your writing here in Rezy, you can do your formatting here, and as you saw, you can do some generating. So check Rezy out. They also have some really good like courses, free courses, and learning things. When it comes time to doing research for your book, maybe you want to research the niche you're going to write in before you actually write it, just to make sure there's a market for it. Or maybe you want to research some keywords. There are two tools I use for various things. So one is Katie Spy. So Katie Spy is an extension up here. I can click it and I'm not on the book page, but it's going to give up some information right here. Let's do search for Mafia Romance. I can just click the Katie Spy extension right here, or I can go into a particular book and click it. Let's see what's popular for dark mafia romance. You have the option down here, choosing all books, just Kindle, or just audiobooks. So it breaks everything down for you. And then here is really what I like Katie Spy for. It's a very easy to read analysis. It tells me this is a popular keyword. Revenue is really good. Competition here is strong. And of course, if you can find one where it's all green, go for it. Don't hesitate. But that gives you a nice little breakdown of things. Let's look at one in particular. Here is, I love these authors, Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti. They're known as the Twisted Sister authors. If you have not read their Zodiac Academy series, I highly recommend it, especially if you love bully romances. They're just amazing. I will warn you, Zodiac Academy, have a box of tissues ready because they leave you on these cliffhangers and they just love breaking your heart and trying to put it back together again. But I digress. Let's click on that and see what it tells us here. I can come down to these little features at the bottom, and I like doing the insights thing. I'll click insights, and then I can copy the prompts for book strengths and weakness. I can analyze the theme or the structure of the book. So I can copy these and take these into ChatGPT to get an idea of what people like. Let's go into chat real quick and we'll copy that prompt. I'm just going to paste that prompt down here and click to go. And again, this is Katie Spy. I didn't have to come up with all of this. I didn't have to type all this in. Again, I just copied that prompt. And then it's going to give me a breakdown of that book. It'll let you know all the good things about it, any weak points right here. You can get some really good reader profile analysis out of these prompts. And I'm just letting you kind of read what it gives right here. And then it'll give you some suggestions. And I want to look just to see, do they nail this? Ensure characters are complex yet relatable. I have to say, the Twisted Sisters nail all of these aspects right here, which is why they have such a solid fan base. There you go. That is Katie Spy for some research. Now, where do I use Katie Spy versus another program that I'm going to show you? I like to use Katie Spy for the research like you saw in ChatGPT. If I'm going into a new genre, I kind of need to know more in-depth details. What do people like about this genre? What do they not like? Where can I find my little corner of the world, so to speak, within that genre? And again, Katie Spy is really good for that breakdown with the red, yellow, and green dots to show you this is a niche that just really doesn't sell. These keywords don't sell. To help you also with your keywords right here, which are helpful for when you're uploading to Amazon to put those into your boxes. Now, the other tool that I like to use for research is Publisher Rocket. I can do my keyword research here, and I'm going to just do Kindle. And then I can get some breakdown. And again, these will help me decide if I want to use these words in my boxes, or it might give me some new ideas. Let's do, right. So now I have all of this breakdown for these, and I can sort them through the competitive score or anything like here. It's another way of viewing Katie Spy's breakdown. Just they give it to you in different formats. Both can be very useful. I think in this instance, it depends on which one is easier for you to read and which one do you find more useful. My favorite thing for using Publisher Rocket is actually doing my keywords for my ads, for my Amazon ads. I will put in the ones that I think, and it'll give me some extra ideas. Maybe it's a Russian mafia dark romance. Irish. Gives you lots of good ideas right here. Do I regret buying both Publisher Rocket and Katie Spy? Absolutely not. I think both of them have their uses. But again, play around with them, see which one you prefer. You may be like me and decide you like both of them. All right, so the last thing I want to show y'all are some websites for resources. There is the Novel Factory. This program is actually one that I was weighing against Scrivener because you can actually write and do everything within this program as well. But I like its tools, or resources rather. You can come down here, get some information on character archetypes. They actually also have some really good template sheets that you can use. I used those whenever I started writing and enjoyed those a lot. Oh, this is an example. This one's really helpful for just some quick brainstorming for your story to see if you have those essential plot points. That is Novel Factory. Again, some great resources there. OneStop for Writers is pretty much exactly what it says. It is a one-stop for you. Now, this is a paid program or website rather, but they have so many helpful things here. I'm showing you the options right here for the pricing. Again, they have some worksheets available, character arc progressions, your wound profiles. Let's get the example for character spheres. That'll help you really round out your character there. My favorite for them is their thesaurus. I can come over here, look at some negative traits. Let's see. Let's go for one that's self-destructive. And just give you some really good ideas right here. These can help with plot points, character arcs, things like that. And of course, it goes when you have the page, you'll get more of these. Their thesaurus is, in my opinion, just top notch and the go-to. Let's look at, I haven't checked out settings before with them. Let's look at settings. And I'm going to look and see if any stand out for me. Something I can use. Public restroom. I can't use that, but that caught my eye. Okay, so to help you with describing the scene right here. Stray hair stuck to the porcelain. Well, there's a visual for you. And unflushed toilets, yeah. Kind of regret clicking on that one. Let's choose a less gross one. Beach party, big city street. Rodeo, let's see if it's accurate. Dirt arena surrounded by bleachers or stadium seating. Flying flags, dust clouds being kicked up. Not bad at all. I nailed it. All right, so that is OneStop for Writers. Again, check them out. They offer so much information. If you can swing the cost, I highly recommend it. But again, take advantage of that thesaurus that is free. It's a great asset. And last on the list of resources is Readie Learning. I mentioned before, they have some great programs, many free courses. They also have some paid for ones. But Their free stuff is really good and top notch. Again, Rezy is another one of those that is really an all in one place. You can see here how to write a novel, how to spark creativity, how to write mind blowing fantasy fiction, how to master the show don't tell rule. I mean, that's always a go to for authors, right? I think that's something we can always improve on. You can start this course, and typically what it does, unless they've changed up their method, but typically you'll get like an email each day with that day's video for the course. It's usually about a week, give or take a few days. That is it. I hope y'all found this helpful and discovered a few new tools. I have updated my AI for Authors book, as I mentioned. This is the first book in the series, and I added 5 new chapters of various writing tools, which include the tools like you saw today, some websites. So 5 new chapters of that. I really went down a rabbit hole, I think. And 2 new chapters for ChatGPT prompts for beginners. So if you've been wanting to dive into using ChatGPT with your writing, but the big prompts scare you or you don't really know how to start, I have a bunch of prompts in this book that I think will be very helpful to you. So check that out. It's fully updated, lots more tools than what we went over in this video, including things like Mila Note, which is really awesome for authors. People are loving that one lately. Check it out, and I hope it helps. Thank y'all for watching. Bye, everybody.